Hi, I'm Ben Warren, and surprisingly, I have piercing blue eyes. Welcome to TrackSupport. Racing, when you're dealing with cars at high speeds and you're pushing these cars and vehicles to the limits, going 125 miles an hour down a straightaway, slamming on the brakes and going into the turn to come out of the turn at 110 again, you're putting a lot of stress on all the components of these vehicles. Also on you physically. So if you're not building up your endurance for what it's going to take on your body and on the vehicle, bad things can happen. I remember one time I've seen a couple autocrosses, they're not that bad. People spin out and hit a couple cones, knock out an obstacle, things of that, where they just spin out. Not a big thing. But when you get to higher speeds, such as tracking or endurance racing, I've been on track while a car has been hit, a fireball shot out of it. They had to get the fire truck out there to check them out. I myself have been in a fire episode on track during an endurance race. It was very exciting, but everybody walked away okay because of the right safety gear and the right safety protocols in place. I had a good friend who was at a tracking event, just a 20-minute session, and he hit a different spot of pavement coming around a straightaway, and out of nowhere it snapped, turned around on him, and he hit the wall, and you could see where his seat bracket, and safety equipment had done its job, but they were strained to the point where they needed to be replaced from when he had that impact. So all that safety equipment there is for your safety. And so when something bad does happen or something unexpected does happen, you can still go home at night, hopefully, and, live to build another race car the next day. So when it comes to safety for an autocross, there's not a whole lot of requirements, whether it's NASA, SCCA, or an independent, that's going to require a bunch of things from you safety-wise. Typically across the board, they're going to want you to possibly have closed-toed shoes. They're going to want you to probably have pants, and they're going to want you to have a helmet. Other than that, they're going to make sure all loose items are out of the vehicle so nothing gets thrown around while you're going to an autocross. It's more laid back. For a tracking event, safety is a little bit more stepped up than an autocross. You're going to typically see guys that are going to have race suits, fire-resistant shoes, socks, pants, suits, helmets, baklavas. You'll see a lot more people that might have a Hans neck device for safety, or very similar neck safety devices that are out there on the market now. And you'll see some cars will be fitted with different safety equipment, such as fire suppression systems and things of that nature. Those are typically more on track built only race vehicles, but it's definitely a huge step up the ladder as far as safety requirements and needs from a typical autocross where you're playing in a parking lot or an airstrip versus going on a closed course road track racing at high speeds. In tracking events in a lot of vehicles, such as like a convertible, you will be required at a tracking level event to possibly have a roll bar that is adequately approved to be rated for a rollover in the event you might have an accident on a track. That is something you need to see if there's requirements for a harness bar or a rollover protection needed for your vehicle before they allow it on track to pass tech. For endurance race, it's even a larger step up, in my opinion, than just tracking event. In a tracking event, you're out there for about 20 minutes in a session, maybe 45 during a smaller race venue. But when you get to that endurance level where you're out there for an hour, 2 hours, hour and a half plus, whatever it might be for your stint during an endurance race, that whole time you are putting your body physically to the limit. You are getting hot. You are getting overheated. You have a lot more safety concerns. A lot of endurance racing series are going to make you have fire suppression systems that typically are going to have a nozzle or two faced at you inside the race cockpit, and they're going to have one or two nozzles that are going to be faced towards the engine bay. Something bad happens and there's a fire, an explosion, something of that nature, you can pull a lever and it will hopefully, suppress some of that heat and flames. In endurance racing, one of the most important safety features you can have is a roll cage. And depending on the racing series you're in, they might have some different variances, but across the board, they're going to be very similar. Safety is number one, because in a race where you can be racing an hour, hour and a half, however long it might be till your tank goes to empty and you have to make a pit, if that car gets in an impact or rolls or crashes, they want to give you the best chance they can to walk away from an accident. So in endurance racing, they're going to have things as fire suppression systems, roll cages, all of your personal safety equipment, all your fire resistant safety equipment, and typically something else too is radios. That's huge. If you're coming around a blind corner on a racetrack and somebody's just hit somebody or T-boned somebody or had a fireball shoot out of their car and there's a yellow flag and you won't see it till you round the corner at high speeds, a radio with a spotter during an endurance race can really save you, make you or break you, depending on the situation. So just like in any sport, if you go out and you're going to be a baseball player, what are you going to need? Typical baseball player uses what? A glove. They're going to have a different bat, things of that nature, cleats. And then other than that, the uniform's the same on everybody, right? So they might know where to get the best bat or the lightest weight bat. They might know where to get the glove that's the most pliable and usable to use. Same thing in racing. You might know somebody who's been racing for years and years versus a new guy that just got into it and just bought whatever some guy sold them online or, over a phone call. You want to see what the guys on track are using, because there can be some great benefits as far as fitment goes, because you're going to be in a suit for maybe an hour at a time. You want to make sure you're comfortable. Something a lot of people don't think about is the actual weight of a helmet. If you've ever put on a regular composite helmet and then put on like an actual carbon fiber helmet, the weight on your neck over an hour's time is night and day difference. And little things like that can add up to fatigue for a driver. So they're really important to take into account depending on what kind of racing you're doing. So an awesome piece of equipment that most people might not even consider as a safety item is a cool system. And what I mean by that is it's a cooler with some kind of pump system in it that you put ice or a block of ice in and a little bit of water, and it pumps the cool water through a shirt or a shirt and pants you might have underneath your fire resistant race suit. They're pretty amazing. If you're ever in an endurance race and you're out there with heat bellowing from the car and you have a heat index of 110 while you're out there and you're in a huge fire suit head to toe in fire resistant thick clothing, you're going to be burning up under there. So a cool suit will have tiny little tubes all the way sewn through the shirt and through your pants that flows that cool water through you to cool you down. It is a night and day difference, which helps you fight against things like fatigue while you're on the track for long periods of time. Not so much for autocross, not so much for tracking, but when you get to the endurance level, as far as safety equipment, there's lots of stuff to look into. And the beauty of it is you have a team that's going to kind of help you with checks and balances. They might think of something you might not. But at the end of the day, safety is key because you want to come out and race another day. When considering safety items for your pit stop, you want to have a good fire extinguisher or two. During endurance racing, a big thing is when you're getting done with a stint and you're getting out of your race car, you're going to be tired. And sometimes it is a night and day difference when that teammate is there to help you get out of that race car, that small window in the cage, after you take your net down to wiggle out and unplug your cool suit and all that radio and all that fun stuff to get out. It's good to have just somebody there to help you out. So make sure your pit station for your hot pits is set up in a way and set up with the right tools and equipment you need to be as safe as possible. So when it comes to safety overall in racing, whether it's grassroots, autocross, mid-grade tracking events, endurance or series racing, always check your rules. They have those rules there for your safety. Something has happened to somebody else before on that track or during an event that made them make a rule. It's there for your safety. They want you to come out and race again another day. So make sure you check your rules, make sure you play it safe, and have a blast. Also, please check the links below for other resources that can help you play it safe while you're on the track.